This is Sky Blues Extra.
Hello everybody, welcome to Sky Blues Extra. Unfortunately it's another defeat for the Sky Blues, a 2-0 defeat this evening at the Riverside in the North East versus Middlesbrough. Tom, good to have you here this evening alongside me to dissect that game. What's just your overriding emotions after watching that?
Pretty gutted, to be honest, mate. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one to take. I didn't think they were that good, to be honest. I think they're probably not. They weren't terrible, but they definitely weren't the best side we played this season. Yeah. And we grew into the game a lot in the second half. Like, we were starting to play really well. We had a really good chance when, I can't remember who it was who whipped it across the box, but yeah, we should have scored, and then they've just gone up the other end and scored and killed the game, which is just really hard to take, isn't it?
It is. Things don't seem to be going our way at the moment, that's for sure. A bit of luck here and there, but again, it's. I suppose we're coming off that 4-0 defeat at Blackburn. Heads are already a little bit down, I suppose, from that. So it was always going to be tough to go and perform this evening. But 8 games in, it's already looking a bit dicey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not looking good. But as we've been saying, we have had a really tough start to the season. I think we've had some really hard fixtures. I do just think it puts some pressure, because it doesn't get any easier for the next month or so. I mean, Me and Dave had a look at November on the live on Saturday, and that doesn't look great either. And then December, there's some slightly easier games, but then the pressure's going to be on by then. I mean, we could be in the bottom 3 by then, and we've got to pick up 9 points in December or whatever, just to sort of get ourselves out of it. So yeah, it's tough.
I suppose we can't look too far ahead because we've still got a lot of games to play until December. So, I mean, it's going to be a struggle until that point anyway. But we need to pick up points regardless of
we've got to find a way. We've got to find a way of getting points against these teams, even though they're better teams than us. We've got to find a way of getting points. We have to. Fast.
Absolutely. And viewers, obviously, you can get your comments into us live in the studio. Just message in whatever streaming service you're looking with us this evening. Just send your comments in and we'll read the best of them out on air. And of course, you can join us live in the studio. The link has been posted on all Sky Blues Extra media posts, so have a look on there and you can join us in the studio as well. So before we look at the game in a bit more detail, Tom, let's have a look at the team that Mark Robbins put out this evening. A few changes. What did you make?
Yeah, I think it's about what I expected, really. I felt like it was time for O'Hare to drop to the bench. I think maybe you'd possibly mentioned that in the podcast as well. I think just get him out of the firing line a little bit. We sometimes over-rely on him a little bit. So yeah, it was kind of what I expected, really. Obviously, get Hamer back in. Like that was what I expected to happen. Obviously, Ostergaard had to come in because of Rose being suspended. So yeah, I guess the only thing was Kelly not starting, which I was a little bit surprised about. But I
think the only reason Kelly didn't start is because of how much he would have ran on Saturday.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, was Saturday's first game back in the starting lineup?
Yeah.
Probably.
So he was on the bench before, and we got another game Friday night. Don't forget. So 3 games in a week for Liam Kelly is going to be a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the games come thick and fast, don't they? So yeah, that's understandable there. But yeah, I'd say on the whole, it's probably about the team I kind of expected. What about you?
Yeah, I exactly the same. I think O'Hare needed to come out, just get him out of that firing line a little bit. I've built this team here on this graphic with Alan as part of a 3, and it sort of changed into that about 15 minutes in. So that was what it was for the majority of that first half. But I thought it was one of our strongest benches for a long time. We've got players coming back now into the fold. Dabo was back available this evening. We thought Walker was still out, but obviously yesterday was his last day of isolation. So it's good to see him back in the fold as well. But yeah, Amir coming back in, that was always a plus point for us. And it was a cagey first 15 minutes, but Amir got into some advanced positions and didn't really make the most of them, did he?
Yeah, no. I think it made a difference having him in there. I think he adds something a bit different to our team. But yeah, the first 20 minutes, first half really wasn't a great game. I thought neither side did very much to impress. But yeah, he was probably one of the sort of brightest sparks really in the team in the first half.
Definitely. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Michael Large, a frequent visitor to Sky Blues Extra Live. Thanks for joining us again, Largy. It's already feeling like a long season. I can't wait to see where our next win will come from. Really hope we don't, because adrift at the bottom, and yet we're already sort of stifled at the bottom of the table, and it's difficult to see where our next win's going to come from. And of course we've got the league leaders who have won again this evening. Reading have beaten Blackburn, of all teams, who we lost to the weekend. So that's going to be a big game on Friday night.
Yeah, it's like we said, they don't get any easier. We've got to play Reading. The only thing I'm taking from that is that the bubble has to burst at some point, doesn't it? And there's been a few seasons gone by when you do get sometimes a team who fly out in front, and the bubble does burst weirdly around the sort of 8 to 10 game mark as well. So we just got to sort of hope that happens on Friday night, and that we can catch them on a sort of bad day perhaps. But who knows?
Well,
that's me being as positive as I can about it.
I mean, look at some of the teams they played. You thought they probably the bubble would have burst already, but they're just going all guns blazing. It's remarkable to see, because I don't think anybody had Reading down as early pace setters, that's for sure.
No.
And when we've spoken, and we've all said we thought Reading would struggle this season, especially with a new manager in charge who hasn't been in the British leagues at all. So let's have a look at some more comments as well. A lot about the formation. Now, this is obviously a big talking point. It just isn't working at the moment, is it? The formation, our style of play, our three at the back with two wing backs, it doesn't seem to be working. So how do we change that?
Yeah, it's difficult. I think the thing that I keep just noticing is that Godden's just so isolated.
Yeah.
He is good at sort of holding it up, and he works really hard, and he does some really good stuff, but that's all he's able to do at the moment, because there's just nothing else happening. Like, he's got no one to lay the ball off to. Like, whereas last year he could sort of, there'd be someone there for him, and then he could make the thing he's good at is making those sort of runs, isn't it? And
pulling defenders away from the situation.
And he's just not being able to do that at the moment. So yeah, and I still think we've got the chance to play the two up top. I know we tried it against Brentford, but with Bakker, but I think with Walker back in the fold, I think we have got something still to try in terms of the two up front. Don't know what your thoughts are on that, or if that's the answer, but I just think he needs some help up there.
Yeah, he definitely does. I just think you kind of drop one of them forward three and have two up top with one player then linking the midfield, and
it's like O'Hare linking, and then
I think that's the only way we're gonna sort of do well in this division at the moment, because our midfield is just being totally dominating, totally overrun. I keep saying the same thing. I'm like a parrot, but it's so clear to see. I'm not sure why Robbins and Vivash haven't saw it themselves really at the moment. There's always three opposition players in the middle of the park against our two, and they're just running rings around us. And what that does, it brings other people into the middle, so there's space out wide then for them to attack us. And at the moment, we're just not stopping those attacks. It's really frustrating. And like you said, Godden's a little bit isolated. I mean, look this evening, we cleared our lines tremendously well, but the transition from defence to attack just wasn't there. We were bypassing the midfield completely to a man up top on his own against three defenders, and he can hold the ball up to an extent, but he's not going to create anything versus three players, and it just added more pressure onto us.
Exactly, he's not quite quick enough to sort of beat his man or whatever. And like I say, I think the shape at the back, actually thought we looked pretty good tonight. Thought we set up pretty well, and they weren't really threatening us very much. They had a few opportunities, but ones that were over the bar, and they snatched at them. There wasn't any clear-cut ones really. Thought Morosi seemed pretty solid again, but we just get undone by another ball over the top. Like, it just keeps happening. We're either giving away a penalty or we're conceding from those ones.
And then when we get into some good positions, the lack of composure and the final pass just completely lets us down.
Yeah,
I think tonight had a couple of opportunities where he could have played a killer pass, and his pass was, and he was just throwing his arms in the air as if it wasn't his fault.
Was it Shipley down the left that one into Godden? Was it?
When Godden played the ball back across the box.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, I'm trying to think who it was who played it across. I thought it might have been Shipley across to Godden.
No,
or the other way
Godden played
around
it across to Shipley.
to
and
Shipley.
Yeah.
So it's one of those again where, like, so if it's Godden on the left, we just don't think quick enough. Like, he's taken a touch and then I think he's hit it sort of like waist height when he should have hit it first time on the floor.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, a good player just doesn't even think about that. They just whip it back across on the floor, because then the defender doesn't have time to think about where it's going to go either.
Yeah.
But hits the wrong sort of ball and it's too late. The defenders have got back, and so it's one of those.
What about that burst from McFadzean, by the way?
Yeah, how did he end up there?
Reminded me of Big Mo in his heyday. Absolutely fantastic.
Clive Eakin summed it up perfectly, saying that he'd got a nosebleed because he was that far up the pitch.
But I thought Colin McFadzean had a pretty good game this evening. He was quite solid. He was putting in challenges all over the pitch. I thought he was intercepting play really well. And so far, I think between himself and Hyam, they've looked like two shining stars in our team so far. But you don't want to be talking about the defence, really. We haven't really circled any players in the attacking half who are stepping up to the plate, are we?
No, exactly, 100%. Like, I think, I know we've conceded a few goals now, but I'm not massively worried about our defence. I think they are pretty solid. Like I said, we had really good shape, but yeah, it's just going forwards that I'm worried about, really. It just seems to be the same thing week in, week out, and we just need to change it.
Definitely. Night Woodcock here said, anyone else not think that we were starting to look like we could nick it? I'm in this boat. I thought we were coming into our own a little bit in that second half. Amer was getting on the ball a bit more. We were linking play up a little bit better. Okay, we weren't causing too many issues in that top third, but still we looked like we were going to be the team in the ascendancy. Yeah,
100%. I really thought we could nick it at the end. No reason why not. It felt like either team could have nicked it, really. Sure, and they just had that. They just had that edge, didn't they? They had that sort of championship, like Neil Warnock kind of edge to them, where they just did it in the end, and they got the second as well to kill the game off, which we're just not quite at that level, are we?
No, not at the moment. We're just things don't seem to be going our way, which you sort of make your own look at in football, but we still need that rub of the green that that happens to the teams that survive drops or make headways into the playoffs. We'll look at the goals in a bit more detail, but before we do that, let's look at the stats. And again, grim reading, especially in the attempts category. Only 3 attempts were made all night, and for a team with the quality of O'Hare, Godden, Amer, Shipley getting into those advanced positions, we've got quality there, but we're just not creating enough, are we?
No, we're not at all. And it's you look at the possession. It's not, it's almost 50-50 on possession, but these teams we're playing against are just creating so many more chances than us. And when you look at it like that, it's kind of no wonder we kind of lost 2-0, really. If we had have nicked it, would we really have deserved anything out of the game? Do you know what I mean?
Not, no, but
that's the thing.
It's one of those where if we do nick it, you sort of take it and say thank you very much, just run away with the 3 points. But it's the attempts. Middlesbrough made 17 attempts. That's the highest amount of attempts they've made this season. I talked about it in the podcast. They're a team that do not create a lot of stuff. They huff and puff and don't blow the house down effectively. Yeah. But tonight, we've let them, which is a shame. In the grand scheme of things, let's look at that first goal. We lost the ball in the middle of the park. I think it was Tyler Walker who tried to play a ball through three players, which just wasn't on. Yeah, we've tried to play offside, and it goes through to a Sambalonga. And let's be honest, he only needs one chance to score. He's a top striker in this division, and we got punished.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of similar thing that keeps happening, like a ball over the top. I don't think he was offside. I think he's probably in line with it.
Yeah. I think you can see that from Hyam's reaction, because
exactly.
His head was in his hands, and I think he knew I've made a mistake here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just he's a top striker, so he's in line and he's got through, and he just slots it away, makes it look really easy. Yeah, it's very frustrating. possible talk of a foul in the lead up to it, but I'm not really sure. I think that's probably a bit soft. Probably just wishful thinking,
I
really.
don't think we're going to get something like that in this division, that's for sure.
No, not
And to
right
be
from
fair,
Neil Warnock, anyway.
No, exactly. I thought the referee handled the game pretty well this evening. So he was a plus point as such.
I think it's only one yellow card, wasn't there, in the whole game?
There's 3 yellows.
Was there 3? Was there in the end?
Basically they were all at the end of the game when
yeah.
longer, and I can't remember who scored for the second goal, but Morosi got carded for complaining. And then the second goal, it was us trying to take the ascendancy again, trying to get that equaliser, but they've caught us on the break, haven't they? And we've lost possession once again. How many times do we have to say it? We've lost possession with sloppy passes, and again we've been punished.
Yeah, exactly. We just get completely caught out. To be honest, I don't mind conceding goals like that. If you're 1-0 down away from home and I was shouting at the TV, be like, pack the box. I think McCallum had it on the left, and it was just like, get everyone in the box, because if you concede and you lose 2-0, it doesn't matter. But if you can try and nick a goal and get a 1-1, then it's worth doing that. So, it's one of those breakaway goals where we've committed quite a few men forward, and they've just got so much space down the right. I don't know where he picked up the ball, like halfway inside our half, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he's just bombed forward and scored. So
2 of our central defenders chasing the same ball in the middle of the park, and it just leaves because McCallum had gone. He was in no man's land.
He was well out of it. One of those that happens when you're sort of chasing the game. So I'm not like too worried about the second, really. I think it was.
I think that's just part and parcel of us chasing a game.
Yeah, exactly. It happens.
I'd rather lose 2-0 than us not even attempt to score an equaliser. So
100%.
That's just part and parcel.
We had at 1-0 down in the 93rd minute away at Middlesbrough. We've got absolutely nothing to lose. We might as well just lump it into the box, and McCallum can be as far forward as he wants, because not too concerned about that one.
Coming here from Jamie Olsen, I haven't seen this stat yet, but 171 possession losses. I think that's pretty much in the same bracket as every single game this season, apart from that Bristol game, the opening game of the season. We just given this is completely different to last season. We were the team that kept the ball, we kept possession, we played nice stuff. We didn't make too many mistakes of our own, and this year we've just totally turned the tide on that, and we're completely different. I don't know why that is. Have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think, the pressing.
Are we trying too hard?
Possibly. I think the pressing in the Championship is just relentless, though, isn't it? I mean, you don't get like that level of pressing in League One, I don't think.
Although I don't think tonight they pressed as hard as any other team so far this season.
No, they didn't as much. No, but even so, they are very quick. Possibly it's a confidence thing as well, and I think players like Sheaf, just sometimes the stuff he does it baffles me. Like there was one when do you remember the one when he basically passed it into the path of their striker in the first half? Sorry, it was in the second half, but like that, I mean, it's just what's going on there.
There's been a lot of comments about Sheaf this evening. Sheaf needs replacing. I'm not too sure how many different options we've got in the middle of the park.
Well, just we've got. I mean, we haven't played Kelly and Hamer yet, have we? Which we've talked about for a while. Would be an interesting combination, I think. Like you said, Kelly probably can't play week in, week out, but I mean, on Friday, I wouldn't be opposed to Kelly coming in for Sheaf.
Yeah, I think listen, there's a huge stat as well that we forgot to mention. 1 shot on target in 96 minutes.
Which was Hamer, and it wasn't even a great shot.
Yeah, it was a scuffed effort from outside the box.
Yeah.
But we come back to those sort of half chances we had in the first half where Shippey had possession of the ball, and all he had to do was play a simple pass, but he tries to overplay the ball, and we don't turn those half chances into full chances. And if you give Matty Godden one or 3, he's going to at least hit the target,
Yeah.
on those. So that's concerning for sure, and we need to sort of get that nipped in the bud, and just do the simple things. At the end of the day, we're not going to be challenging. Let's get this right. We're not going to be challenging at the top end of the pitch, and to survive in this division, top end of the division, and to survive, we need to do the simple things well. That's what all the teams who manage to scrape their way into this division do well.
Yeah.
Short, sharp passing, and when you get a chance, you take it. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that.
Do you think that's like psychologically a tough thing for the players? Because obviously you go up a level, which is one thing, but to go from kind of every week last season was we have to win. Like it was like we're going to win, we have to win, we think we'll win, and you go from that to actually 0-0 away at Middlesbrough is a really good result, and like mentally it's just a different kind of mindset. So like, do you think that's something that comes into play a little bit? Of like what is expected of the players is very different this season.
I mean, are they still in the mindset that we're one of the top teams in the division, and we're not?
No, I don't even think that. I just think I don't know. Maybe the way we're approaching games is I don't know. It's just maybe playing on the players' minds a little bit and affecting their confidence and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, we're probably going through the first real blip that this team has faced in 2 seasons, aren't we?
Yeah.
Really, everything was rosy pretty much from November onwards last season.
Yeah, it wasn't even a blip. It was those 2 games, wasn't it? And that was it.
Yeah, that Rotherham and Tranmere games, and we sort of changed the system and it worked out. But yeah, where's from our point of view now, we need to see some characters. How deep can this team find something to push us up forward and get us out of this? Because at the moment it's looking a little bit desperate. That's for sure.
100%. And like, when we got relegated from the Championship last time, that's what we were lacking was characters. I think that season, like, we didn't have enough characters in that team, and that's why we went down. So, but I think this team should have enough character. It really should.
I think once you've got Liam Kelly in the side, the character sort of comes out in everybody.
Yeah, and like players like Dabo coming back.
Yeah.
There are, there's, I think you lot mentioned in the pod, we haven't played our full strength team yet.
Yeah,
like even for one game, let alone stringing 10 games together with a consistent team. That's got to help.
Jojo Dodo literally just said the same thing. Our best 11 hasn't played 90 minutes together yet. So maybe judge us when we've got our best 11 playing the teams that are going to be around us in the division. Once we get to December, we'll have no games easy in the Championship, of course not, but we'll have easier games, shall we say? To what we've faced so far.
Yeah, I think like not looking too far ahead, but I do think the way the season maps out, like December is a really big month for us because, like you said, the slightly easier games, and everyone looks at where teams are at Christmas as like a barometer of where you are. If we're in the bottom 3 at Christmas, people are going to be getting a bit nervous. If we're middle of the bottom half, then and a few points clear, it's going to look a bit better. So that December run of games is going to be really important, I think, for our season.
Absolutely, and like _Tetra says there, we will hopefully grow into this season. We're still, we're new to this division. Don't forget, we're still perhaps finding our feet. So, let's sort of wait till Christmas before we make real judgments on this team. I mentioned in the pod there's been a lot of character assassination and stuff, and I just don't think it's needed at this point of the season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a grind. It's as simple as that. And it's when we get the opportunities, we need to take them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, we've got to find a way to grind out points against these teams. As much as I've said, December's an easier run of games, that doesn't mean we just sort of write off the next 8 games where we're like they're all free hits. We've got to find a way to get results. Reading at home, we've got to find a way of breaking them down. And I mean, they've got a good defensive record, haven't they? So it's going to be tough, but we've got to grind something out soon.
So how do we change then for Friday night against Reading in front of the Sky cameras once again? And our record is play 2, won 1, lost 1 so far. Hopefully we can
Sky Sports commentary.
Hopefully we can burst the bubble. How do we change things going into Friday night, because the heads are going to be down, aren't they? Yeah,
heads are going to be down. But the positive news is, defensively, I guess Rose will be back, won't he, as an option?
It's 3 matches.
Is it 3 matches?
As far as I know, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Well, they did say on BBC CWR it's 3 matches this evening, but you know what Clive's like, he doesn't know his own name half the time, so... Yeah.
He's not watching. No, he'd be doing the
Yeah.
phoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, don't phone into CWR when Sky Blues Extra's on.
No, stay on it.
Come on.
Okay, well, if we just assume like the defensively will be about the same, but possibly Rose back in, but that doesn't make a massive impact.
Would you bring Rose back in? I don't think he's looked at the races so far
No,
this season, to be honest.
I think the way it's going to go this season is I think it's like if you get back into the team, you sort of keep your place for now. I think that's how Robbins will play it. I think so. I think the fact Rose has like sort of lost his place, he's going to have to fight his way back in. I mean,
the talk at the season, start of the season was could Carl McFadzean play so many games in so many days, and so far he's been one of the first names on the team sheet for every match.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends how he's feeling. I mean, he looked all right tonight. So, but it's a short turnaround, isn't it? So
yeah,
I don't know if Rose did have a 1 match ban. Could you bring him in for McFadzean? But I don't know. It's not. That would be a fitness thing. It wouldn't be any reflection on how he's played. I don't think. Not tonight anyway.
But the problem is if he is slightly feeling his legs, he's prone to a mistake at that point. So
Yeah.
you've got to have that in the back of your mind. And with Reading free scoring goals, and they're creating opportunities at absolute will. So we've got to be wary of that, right?
Yeah, and I still believe that. The plan for the start of the season was to have Ostergaard, Hyam and Rose as our best three, our strongest three, I believe. And I know, obviously, Rose, I think he had an operation in the summer, so we had to sort of, fill in Fads there for the time being, and he's done a good job. But I think that, those three are what Robbins has in mind as his strongest three. But then, obviously, Dabo, you'd expect to be back, sort of been bedded in tonight, obviously off the bench. So you'd think he's fit enough to start on Friday, which obviously means you can put McCallum back over on the left.
Yeah, I thought Giles probably had his worst game of the season this evening. Didn't really look as fluid south going forward, did he? Not
going forward, but no, he could be putting a couple of decent tackles. But yeah, he wasn't that great going forwards. I think that in itself, though, for Friday, that's a big sort of switch up that can make a difference. Because I think McCallum's been good so far, but been playing on the right. We absolutely know what Dabo can do and what difference he can make. There's just no doubt about it. And I don't know, has he played, how many league games has Dabo played? I can't even think now.
He played 2 on the trot before the injury.
Yeah.
I think he's probably at 4 appearances, maybe 2 of them substitutes.
So he hasn't featured loads. So I think if we can get Dabo back in consistent run of games, he's the sort of player who no doubt will make a huge difference in our team. In those attacking areas as well.
Well, even McCallum this season, when he switched back to his preferred left back position, he did make a couple of runs forward, and he's got that sort of link-up play with O'Hare, hasn't he? Settled from last season. Yeah. And they show signs of it again this season. There was a couple of little opportunities that arose for themselves on the left side. So I mean that's a plus point for me. I think if we can get those two sort of linking back up again, I'm sure we'll create something from that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. I think that'll make a difference. And then, obviously, in the middle, a few ways it could go. I think Hamer's probably going to stay in the team. Sheaf, I'm not sure about. Possibly bring Kelly in.
I think Kelly comes in. I mean,
I'd like to see Kelly and Hamer in the same team.
Yeah, and then it's whether you play the sort of the three up top as we normally play, or do we play 2?
I'll go how you said.
Yeah, I would bring 2 and bring 1 and drop 1 back.
Yeah, I'd go with Walker and Godden, and then I'd put O'Hare behind them.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to be directly behind them. He can play in a sort of a triangle with Amer and Kelly. And at least that way, if we do have an out ball, at least you've got 2 players that you can rely on up the top rather than just the one person. So
exactly.
And then O'Hare can come into the play if he needs to, and obviously his position warrants that. But yeah, I think that's maybe one way to attack it. But there's been calls for 4-4-2 as well, and I mean that's a bit old school. There's not many teams that play 4-4-2 in this division. I think there's only probably 3 or 4 teams from memory that actually play 4 at the back.
Yeah.
But I mean, are our fullbacks, suited to a 4-4-2? I'm not too sure. I think they're too attack minded.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think
it's different if we had Mason still. It's different for left back.
No, our sort of signings and the way the team squad's been put together is around having those wing backs, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So I don't think. Yeah, I think that's probably here to stay. It's just what we do in the midfield and whether we play two up front, I think, is the thing. But as I've kept saying, I think Walker coming in back in. I mean, he's barely featured at all. I think he played against. He played in the cup, didn't he? In both cup games, actually.
Yeah.
But apart from that, he's hardly featured. So again, he's someone, at least, we've lost a few games, but at least we've got a few options and a few other sort of things, people to come into the team and options, and that's the thing we've got to look forward to, I think.
He strikes me as the kind of player that needs a run in the side before you get to see the best of him, Tyler Walker.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a bit like Godden last year, right? I think took him a little bit.
Yeah,
took him a little bit of a while.
He wasn't really hitting the ground running, was he? Let's say Godden, and it was probably after the 2 hat tricks, wasn't it? And his confidence and belief was there, and he thought, I'm the central striker at this club, and I'm gonna carry on this form forward. So hopefully we get the sort of same from Tyler Walker, but it's going to be harder to sort of get into the flow of things in this division than it would be in League One, especially with the type of opposition we're coming up against in November. Yeah, no,
100%. But yeah, no, it's going to be tough for him. But yeah, at least we've got that option.
I'm just trying to. Can we get November up here? Here we go. It's loading slowly.
Yeah. Gradual reveal.
So yeah, we got obviously Reading.
December looks like a big month, doesn't it?
Yeah, we look at Reading on Friday evening, and then from there again, it's relentless. It's Wednesday, Saturday next week. So another red button for everybody to enjoy with just the one camera in the middle of the park. But yeah, I mean, you look at Forest, who are probably in a false position at the moment. New manager now under Chris Hughton, so you'd expect them to bounce back and definitely be more sound defensively. And then you've got Watford, who are everyone's favourites to win this division. And then there's a couple of games there, Birmingham and Cardiff, who, potentially they're going to be in the mix down the bottom of the table, especially on current form. Cardiff aren't looking too good at the moment, and Birmingham City, their squad probably is a lower Championship squad. So their 2 games, they could be massive in November, going into December, which looks a lot easier on paper than the rest of the games we've played so far.
Yeah, exactly. I think Birmingham and Cardiff definitely ones we'll be targeting. Even Forest to an extent. I know you said that they're in a sort of false position, but we've got to kind of take advantage of that. And again, a point there would be a really good result. Watford and Norwich, I just can't really see us getting anything. But yeah, Birmingham, Cardiff, we've definitely got to be trying to home games as well. Obviously, Birmingham's a bit of a strange home game. Not really; it's more of an away game. But yeah, we've got to somehow get some points out of those games. Like 4 points out of those 2, I think, definitely.
Literally before we get into that December period, which is going to be absolutely vital. Let's just have a few more comments. Steve Jones here. We just seem to be playing within ourselves, get the ball beyond the halfway line and too frantic and concede possession too cheaply. Yeah, I mean, all comments and points we've made this evening. It's just that decision making in that final third. We just need to be more composed and once we get into those positions, it's about turning those half chances into full chances for sure. And we had the opportunity tonight, and we just didn't take that.
Yeah, 100%.
So Finton's talking about Robbins in his interview. The players are fearful. The formation worked fine for the majority of the game against Bristol, but we haven't put. That's absolutely true. I mean, you look back at that Bristol game now. We were absolutely fantastic for about 70 minutes of that match, but everything we did well in that game is just fallen by the wayside, and it's hard to put one distinct reason on why that is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is hard to. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and as the games go on, the confidence isn't going to be getting any higher either. So something's got to kind of break that trend, hasn't it, really?
I think we've just got to scrap out a nasty 1-0 victory somewhere, haven't we?
Yeah.
Once you do that, the tide changes and the confidence is there. So, yes, we've just got a 1-0 victory. Okay, it was only 1-0, but we just scrapped and fought for a massive 3 points. and that can build belief in not just in the team but through the club as well, and through the supporters. They need us on their side. We can't start going against them 8 games into this season, because otherwise it could be a very dismal and long season. Let's have a look at some more comments.
Yeah,
Keep comments
100%.
coming in. We're going to be here for about another 10 minutes. And obviously, if you do want to join us in the studio, you're more than welcome to. The links are on all social media posts. Just search for @SkyBluesExtra. Nige Woodcock. I don't know if he's got his name like that just to confuse me and get me tongue-tied. But if we can get 6 to 8 points from Friday onwards in November, then December, we can look at trying to string some results together. I mean, you look at Friday night. Can we change the tide against the league leaders? It's typical Cov to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, you just don't know with football, do you? Strange things can happen. Yeah, it's just one of those. You just don't know what might happen at St Andrews on the Sky cameras under the lights. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So we've talked about Sheaf a little bit, but a lot of other people have talked about him as well. So let's sort of talk about him some more. How do you think he played tonight? Would have liked Kelly in there. Yeah, I think we'd all like Kelly in the middle of the park, regardless of what team we're playing. But yeah, Ben Sheaf at the moment, he's still finding his feet a little bit at this level. He's putting in I can't say his effort's there, but at the end of the day, we need the performance as well, don't we? His passing has gone a little bit astray. Defensive tackling can leave a little bit to be desired as well. So, yeah, I'm not too sure on Sheaf at the moment. How about yourself?
Yeah,
Tom?
I'm not sure. I think it might be wise to sort of take him out the firing line on Friday and get Kelly in, as we mentioned. But like we said, we're possibly a bit short in that area if Kelly can't sort of play every game. But yeah, like you say, Sheaf, hasn't really played at this level. I think he was in League One, wasn't he, with Doncaster last season? So he's another player who is getting used to this level, a bit like Shipley is, a bit like O'Hare is, a bit like most of our team. So it's going to take a bit of time. Like you say, he works hard. He's definitely got the sort of potential. But yeah, I think Kelly will probably come in on Friday.
Cool. And just before we call it for an evening, we've got Glenn, who wants to join us on live on SkyBluesExtra. Let's bring him into the fold. Good evening, Glenn. How's it going?
I'm all right, chaps. How are you, Per?
Good, thank you.
Bit disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed, obviously. But overall, how do you feel tonight went? Obviously, a 2-0 defeat for the Sky Blues. Not ideal, but what about the performance?
I went out and watched the Coventry derby today, United against Sphinx. So I listened to most of it on the radio. So I see 6 goals, so that was quite funny. But yeah, from what I've seen, what I heard, I think we pretty much tried to go and nick a 0-0 or nick a 1-0, which I don't think's probably the best style for us at the moment, because we're not solid enough defensively. And then we give them a soft goal and then got done on a breakaway. But I still think the team's key areas, people aren't doing it at the moment. Alan, there's still a massive question mark over him. Sheaf, I don't know if he's the answer. We seem to be missing like the ball carriers that we've had in the past. Like we had Westbrook, Bayliss, Bright, Hiwula. They get us up the pitch and beat people and take people on. We don't have that in the team at the moment, aside from O'Hare, really. Or Dabo.
How do you sort of change it then, Glenn? Because at the moment, obviously, things aren't working, are they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But how does Robbins change things then to change the fortunes of this team so far?
I think he's got to go 2 up front. He's got to play Walker and Godden and give them the next 3 games as a partnership. I think Walker against Forest, you'd expect him to put in a performance. I think Giles probably needs a rest. I think he's obviously pulled O'Hare out tonight just to give him a break. I think the problem is we've got so many youngish talent. They've probably not played the run of games together like they've done in their career. I doubt O'Hare's played that much for us as a run of games consistently. Probably the same for Sheaf. Probably the same for Ostergaard and a few of the others. I don't think they've played that run of games as grueling as the Championship is.
I think if you look, we're going to be playing 6 games in 21 days. So that's a hell of a lot of games of Championship football for players to get into their legs, especially this early in the season.
Yeah,
Are you still with us, Glenn?
I just think we've been unlucky with injuries, and we've been unlucky with injuries, and probably hate to say the phrase, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So where we are now isn't going to determine where we finish at the end of the season. I think someone put a league table up from last year, and I think Charlton was 7th, and the 3 teams in the bottom 3 didn't actually get relegated. So it's a long journey, and I think we can probably take solace last season. The likes of Luton and Barnsley started after the turn of the year stringing results together. But yeah, I think it's obvious to see where the problems are. We woefully miss Walsh. I think Westbrook, if he was still with us, would be probably a regular starter now. And it's just that you can beat a man and get by a man. Allen tries to do it and he loses the ball and gets roughed up. O'Hare's being singled out. Giles tends to find space, but he doesn't really attack anyone. And it's just that what we had last year with probably McCallum, Dabo, Walsh, O'Hare, Godden, we had that little bit of dynamism, and we pressed high and we won the ball back in. But awkward to play against at the moment. We just seem a bit soft, and we don't seem to press as teams as much as we did last season. And I think he just probably needs to make some big calls and freshen things up, and make a big decision maybe on a few players.
Well, hopefully, Glenn, we can start to turn the tide on Friday. We do thank you for joining us again on SkyBluesExtra, and hopefully we can chat after a victory on Friday night.
Fingers crossed, lad. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, Glenn.
Cheers, Glenn.
Mate. Yeah, I mean, he makes some good points there. I mean, we don't seem to be carrying the ball from our third of the pitch forward. And last year we did that at ease and created and carved out a lot of chances, didn't we? Yeah,
absolutely. We seem to be hitting the long ball a lot more, don't we, at the moment?
You can't do that with one up front.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I completely agree. It's just not sticking. But yeah, it is harder to play out from the back in this league. Like we said, the pressing is a lot better. We try not to get caught out. It's almost like Morosi's been told to kick it out a bit more, because he never did it last season. Like, to the point where people were screaming at him to do it. In the ground from the crowd. At times it was like, just kick it out. And he'd refuse to kick it out. He'd do a Cruyff turn rather than kick it out.
I want to see some more Cruyff turns.
Yeah, exactly. Although every 1 in 10 he gets tackled or whatever, and then it's a bit of a heart attack. But yeah, no, we seem to be hitting it long a lot, and it's just not sticking at the moment. So yeah. Cool.
Let's bring another guest in. Joey's waiting to speak to us once again. Joey, welcome to Sky Blues Extra Live. You're live with me and Tom in the studio. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, just to agree what Tom said then, actually, about Morosi going long every time. Last season, you'd pretty much go game after game without him going long at all. Now it's every single time. Long ball to Godden. And I think the problem with that is, if you're going to play like that, there's almost no point playing Godden and 4 central midfielders, because you're bypassing all the midfielders to go to Godden, who's only 5'9", and you just give the ball away. It's so frustrating.
Is that down to the high press, though? There's a more intense press, that's for sure, from most teams in the division. Okay, tonight maybe not so much as the other games, but is that down to that?
I think so. I don't think Robbins has told Morosi to go long every time, or the back 5. I think it's in the game, in that situation, you've got 2 attacking strikers coming at you. You're going to play long if you're lacking that confidence anyway. I think last season they had the confidence. They didn't care if they gave it away because they knew they'd win it back. Now it's like, you make one mistake, you're going to get punished. So Morosi, every time the ball comes from you, thinking, if I make the mistake here, that's game over, or that's the goal given away. So I do think it's the press, but at the same time, I think it's the confidence and just the total fear about making a mistake.
Yeah, and we seem to be making mistakes at will, really, at the moment. And that transition from defence to attack just isn't there, is it?
No, not at all. And he's got some Robin's got some big decisions to make, because he spent the last 2-3 years building this style of play, building this formation, this setup.
Yeah.
So then suddenly, after a few games, to completely change to a 4-4-2 or whatever, are we suited to that? But then at the same time, is it going to make any? We're playing poorly at the moment, so the change is going to. What worse can it do, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably no better time to change it than going against the league leaders, because it's effectively just a one-off game against someone who's flying high, and we're not expected to win this match now. Let's be honest, even though we are at home, we're not expected to win, so why not change it up for Friday night? What kind of changes would you make then, Joey? Would it be the positioning or players as well as the formation?
I think it would be players, and I think that the team he set up today probably had Friday in mind. So with Kelly, for example, I think he would have probably started, but he knew that he has that game in a few days. He had a game a few days previous. So I think Kelly will come in probably for possibly Sheaf, because again, I think Sheaf, there were some really good signs actually before they scored. I thought Sheaf stepped up a little bit, started to carry the ball forward, but there's too many mistakes from him. So I think he might be the man that comes out for Kelly. And then I still, I don't want to slate Alan, because again, I think Alan at times is better tonight, but I think he's played a lot of football this season and he looks a bit tired. So maybe possibly he'll drop out for O'Hare, or possibly he'll make the big change and bring in Walker. Hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the perfect game for Tyler Walker to make a name for himself, isn't it? In a sky blue shirt, there's. I mean, you don't drop Godden. Let's be honest. He's probably undroppable at the moment because he's working so hard and he's tirelessly working up top. So, would you switch? Would you switch to the two up the top and have one in behind, or would you go a direct three in the middle with two up top?
To be honest, I think I agree with you about dropping Godden. I don't think you can drop him as such in terms of performances. I still think he's, performing well. He's got the goals, but if he did drop him out of this game, I think it would be on the basis of the fact he's played 96 minutes tonight, ran his heart out on Saturday, played pretty much every minute. Maybe it's time to give him a rest. Walker's a little bit quicker, arguably more physical, so maybe, but I don't think Walker's a one-up-top striker either. So, and actually, funny enough, Walker and Godden did years ago.
Yeah,
so,
they did. Yeah, they got history.
Who knows? They could reignite that flame if it was a flame back then. But
I think
losing
Max is sitting there as well. He's been on the bench now the last two games, Max Biamu, so he's back in the manager's thoughts as such.
I think if you're going to play long like we did throughout tonight, then Max is the man for that, because he will win headers, and the thing you'll get with Max, he might not be as technically gifted as even the other three strikers we've got, but he will give 100% throughout, and he'll chase every lost ball, and he'll be a bit of a nuisance. So you could possibly even look at playing a two up front with him, and he'll flick it on to Godden or Walker, or dare I say Bakayoko as well. So he's got so many options, I think, throughout the team, because now that Shipley's back as well, Dabo's back, there's a lot of options here and there. He's got to work out what that starting 11 is.
How do you see Friday night going then against the league leaders, Reading? Obviously, it's going to be a tough match regardless of who we play in this division, but Reading you can only play who's in front of you, can't you? So they're doing well so far, but they're potentially in a false position. But we've still got to play them, right?
Well, I think we've got to go in there with no fear, in the sense of they are the best team in this division. Let's not expect to win, and don't be fearful of playing out from the back, because if we do lose 2-3-0, nobody watching at home is going to be thinking, been robbed of that. So play with no fear and go for it. Let's try, and if we're going to play the same formation, let's try and go back to the original style, playing out from the back, using the wing backs, get Dabo and Giles McCallum forward, or you change it around completely and you change that style of play, go long, and you bring the two strikers on. So it's down to Robbins, but I don't think Reading are going to be as good as, I don't think they're going to hold it out for the season.
Sure.
They've changed the manager, and they've got some good players. They've spent a hell of a lot of money. If you look at the financial side of it. They're spending well above their means, but I don't know. It's tough. I just think we've got to go with no confidence, and we're back at home as well, so they're not travelling a long way like they did tonight. And we played well against Bristol. I think we did all right against QPR in the second half. Take heart from that, not from the recent performances, and try and get out of this rut.
Definitely. Well, Joey, once again, thanks for your thoughts on SkyBluesExtra Live. Hopefully you can join us on Friday night once there's a victory
with a win
in the can for the Sky Blues. Yeah, but yeah, brilliant thoughts again, and thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Joe, mate.
Cheers, Joey. Well, Tom, Friday night then, big game.
They're all big games, aren't they?
We don't obviously want to lose any match in this division, but it feels to me, even though it's early, it's a no-lose game. Let's just go out and hopefully pick up a point, and if we can get 3 happy days, right?
Yeah, I think feels like that's been the attitude for the last couple of games, really. Like no huge pressure on us. Just go out there, just, like change things up a bit, try out some different things. We've got people like Dabo to come back in, which will definitely change things. And like we said, if we get a point, it's a good result, isn't it? Absolutely.
Well, ladies and gents, that is all we've got time for on SkyBluesExtra Live this evening. After obviously a bitterly disappointing 2-0 defeat at the Riverside Stadium. Hopefully you can join us on Friday evening after, hopefully, fingers crossed, after a victory against Reading in front of the Sky cameras. And all that's left to say is play up, Sky Blues.